This is the Dave Elliott Show.
And good morning. Thank you for hanging out with us today. It's a Friday. I think I say that every day, don't I? Thank you for hanging out with us. But I do consider that we have kind of a hangout going on here. It's Friday morning, August 7th, and I'm happy to report that there is no bad weather in the area at the present time, although we are expecting some more what they call beneficial rain later today. I'm also expecting that we will be checking in with Chelsi Murphy at some point this hour, although we may have gotten our wires crossed on that one. I'm not sure what the deal is, but we'll see. We're waiting for her to connect. In the meantime, I have a lot of cool stuff to tell you about, including Sizzle Dining. I think I mentioned this yesterday, but I've updated the website, so go to daveontheair.com and see all the details. But we're partnering with Sizzle Dining, where they put together 140 restaurants across Southwest Florida for you to try out. And beginning later this month, we're going to be giving away $100 dining gift certificates to Sizzle Dining restaurants throughout the area when we play the impossible question. So you have a chance to win a $100 gift certificate. Not today, but I'll let you know when we're going to start that. Sizzle Dining runs through the month of September. It benefits Blessings in a Backpack, and we're going to be talking with our pal Guy Clark about that. So I hope you can join us for your opportunity to win from Blessings in a Backpack. I'm also happy to tell you that we're going to continue with our impossible question into the foreseeable future, and today you can win a $25 gift certificate to Alice Sweetwater's. So we have that going on. A reminder that you can now find the show live at daveontheair.com. You don't need to log on to YouTube, although you can still log on to YouTube if you wish and get the show there like you have done the last month or so. And by doing that, it makes it just a little bit easier to find us. If you log on to the daveontheair.com website anytime before 7 a.m. Eastern Time, the show will automatically pop up when it's time to start. Now, I think that's pretty cool. I discovered the method to do this the other day, and I immediately implemented it because I wanted it to be as simple as possible to find us. You can also follow us on Facebook at The Dave Elliott Show and on Instagram at that same location, The Dave Elliott Show. And I always try to post an Instagram reel every day featuring the impossible question of the day, and who knows what other stuff and nonsense I might come up with. But you'll find it all there. Facebook at The Dave Elliott Show and Instagram at The Dave Elliott Show as well. CNN has taken note that here in Southwest Florida, we have a very, very active political season underway. They referred to it in their headline. I thought the headline was pretty telling, actually. If you looked at the list of people that are running for something in this area, it's crazy. They call it a clown show of carpetbaggers and carriers has upended a Republican primary in Trump's backyard, that being here in Southwest Florida. Two scandal-scarred former congressmen from other states, says CNN, a pair of candidates who once competed against each other in Illinois, an advisor to an Indiana lawmaker, and an ex-underwear model imprisoned for his role in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. These are among the Republicans who have descended here on Southwest Florida, says CNN, in recent years, and are now in pursuit of an open house seat, transforming a deeply red district into a staging ground for comeback stories, as CNN likes to refer to them. They say the free-for-all is unfolding in President Donald Trump's adopted home state at a moment when he continues to play kingmaker in Republican primaries across the country. But in this corner of his backyard, he has yet to weigh in, leaving what they describe as a sprawling field of carpetbaggers, characters, and conservatives fighting over who can claim the MAGA mantle. Evan Power, the chairman of the Republican Party of Florida, is quoted as saying, "Everyone who comes here is in search of a new life, including apparently people who want to serve in Congress." He said, "We're watching the race as much curiosity as everyone else, with as much curiosity as everyone else." A handful of candidates insist they have been in touch with Trump's team and remain optimistic he may yet endorse them. A senior advisor to the president said he hasn't ruled it out, but the field has produced muddled polling for him as he considers the options. Early voting is already underway in some parts of the state ahead of the primary. And I'm going to run down a list of who's who and what's what, because I can. I'm not taking sides here. I'm just kind of giving you the facts. A handful of candidates, remarkably 6, running for Florida's 19th House District, which is, I guess, part of Collier County, have previously served in or ran for Congress in other states. One guy you really haven't seen too much of him on the airwaves is Madison Cawthorn, the former North Carolina congressman whose brief and chaotic tenure in Congress ended in a 2022 primary defeat. I think he's the guy in the wheelchair, if I'm not mistaken. He lives in Cape Coral and was stopped by FHP a couple of years ago on Alligator Alley for, I think, speed. Chris Collins, you've seen that name. New York congressman who was sentenced to 26 months in prison for his role in an insider trading scheme. He was ultimately pardoned by the president in December of 2020 after spending 2 months behind bars, but he was sentenced to over 2 years. Jim Oberweis, you've seen a lot of him on TV, and Catalina Loff, you've seen them both on TV. They both moved to Florida from Illinois, faced each other in a 2020 race for a suburban Chicago congressional seat. Oberweis, a former Illinois state senator previously nominated by the GOP for governor in the U.S. Senate there, won the primary but lost in the general. Loft tried again in a different Illinois district 2 years later, but came up short in the general election. A name you have probably not seen, Ola Hawatma, who previously ran unsuccessfully in New York and then became an advisor to Indiana Rep. Victoria Spartz, is in the race. Linda Sawyer, who lost primary bids to represent Michigan in the U.S. House in 2020 and again 2 years ago, is also running. The reason the president has not made an endorsement is because he likes to endorse people that he's pretty sure are going to win, and the polling is not giving him an idea of who might win the race. So far as I can tell, he has not made an endorsement and will probably not do so until he can endorse somebody that he thinks could win. Those sugar white sand beaches that we have here and the endless summers, I guess you could say, have long attracted outsiders in search of a second act. CNN describes the city of Naples, I wouldn't disagree with this, as the region's jewel, itself co-founded in 1886 by a Kentucky senator who arrived on Florida's Gulf Coast shortly after losing his bid for re-election, and that, of course, was Barron Collier. Many of the district's voters are themselves relatively recent arrivals. They have regularly elected transplants, including the last 4 people to represent the area in Washington, one of whom is Byron Donalds, who, of course, is running for governor. He was born in New York, settled in Naples after attending college in Florida. He's now running for governor and hasn't endorsed a potential successor. But even against that history, the parade of newcomers who want to replace Donalds has made a spectacle of a safe Republican seat, and it has created an opening for local broadcasting mogul Jim Schwartzel, a lifelong resident, to distinguish himself simply by emphasizing that he's got deep roots here. He was born and raised, went to college, had kids, was married, all here in Southwest Florida. One of his advertisements derides his rivals as failed politicians from Chicago and New York who couldn't get elected in their home state. He said, to represent a community, you need to be able to have lived there for a certain period of time to understand what people go through. The only thing they've done for this community is run for a political office. I think he should have said done to this community. His opponents, meanwhile, well, we love our new home. Hawatma, who has run several philanthropic ventures, told CNN that she has, quote, done more on local issues in a year in the district than the ones living there. Oberweis, who's a wealthy investor, said he's owned a property and business in the Florida district for nearly a half a century. Longer than any of my opponents, he said, who recently turned 80, by the way. And because of my life experiences, I have a much better grasp of the issues and at a greater depth than my opponents. That's Jim Oberweis. Lauf, the co-founder of a health startup, was appointed by Trump in 2018 as an advisor to the U.S. Department of Commerce. She counts herself among the many Republican refugees from blue states who relocated here meaning, after the pandemic and after watching Collins and Cawthorn launch comeback bids. Lauf said she felt compelled to jump in to ensure the Republican stronghold is represented by, quote, a strong conservative and Trump ally. So there is a mix of people running to go to Washington. Cawthorn told a recent forum that he relocated to the region shortly after losing re-election in 2022 and became a staple at local party events. He also quickly and repeatedly encountered law enforcement, as I mentioned earlier, on roads throughout the area. Since moving to the state, he's received speeding tickets in 3 different counties, including 2 citations for driving 50 miles an hour over the speed limit and 1 for reckless driving. In April of 2024, he collided with the Florida Highway Patrol. That was the one on Alligator Alley, and was found guilty in May of 2025 of failing to move for an emergency vehicle. A judge fined him, suspended his license, and sentenced him to 12 hours of driving school. Been there, done that. He was later charged with driving with a suspended license. After he failed to appear in court, a warrant was issued for his arrest. He was released on a $2,000 bond. Cawthorn, who was paralyzed from the waist down in 2014 as the passenger in a car crash while on a vacation in Florida, has also received 7 citations for parking in spaces reserved for handicapped or disabled persons without displaying a permit. I would think he would be entitled to a handicap permit. In June, just 2 months ago, he was cited for driving with expired registration tags in Lee County, his second such offense this year. So he seems like he's playing that the laws are for thee, not for me game. House Republicans have been careful not to ask Trump to weigh into primaries unless there's a risk to the party's electability. So far, CNN reports the drama in this district, the 19th, hasn't really required that kind of intervention, which may be why the president doesn't need to endorse, because a Republican is going to win no matter what. Trump won the district here, by the way, 2 years ago by 30 points. So it's highly unlikely that there won't be a Republican nominated. Regarding Chris Collins, the conservative Club for Growth has vowed to spend at least $1.1 million in an effort to block him from returning to Washington. Collins endeared himself to the president by becoming the first sitting member of Congress to endorse his 2016 presidential campaign. But the Club for Growth has attacked his voting record as insufficiently conservative. Neither Collins nor his campaign responded to a request for comment to CNN. Turning Point Action, the Charlie Kirk Group, has endorsed John Strand, a former model and COVID area activist. Strand served time in prison for participating in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol before he was pardoned by the president. Strand, however, hasn't raised the money needed to carry his message across TV and has struggled to break through against better funded opponents. So it's unlikely that I think it's going to come down to a couple of names, and it's going to be based on the incredible amount of postcards that have shown up in your mailbox, the relentless commercials that are running back to back on local TV, and whatever campaigning they're doing in person. And I think you can probably pick out the names that you'll recognize, and I'm sure one of those people will get your vote. Now, this is, of course, just for the primary. Oberweis and Lauf have complained that Schwartzel enjoys a built-in advantage as the owner of local television and radio stations, an asset they say he used to promote his campaign and attack his opponents. They said they're often criticized on the conservative talk radio station operated by Schwartzel's company. On Monday, an ex-account for the station shared a report by a Chicago news station about the ex-locals running again in Florida. In the Post, the account called Oberweis and Lauf two failed Illinois congressional candidates who were back in the spotlight in their former and only recently departed political stomping grounds. Lauf said it's ridiculous he's using his position like this. Imagine how he'll use a position in Congress for his own interests. Oberweis also bemoaned how much he is paid to advertise on stations owned by Schwartzel, effectively enriching one of his chief rivals. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'll just let you in on a little secret. If you are a candidate running for a federal office, you get the lowest rate that they charge anybody, regardless of frequency or the number of spots they run, anything else. Regardless of what the deal is, if you are a candidate for a federal office, you get the lowest, what they call the lowest unit rate available on the station. So that's by law. They can't charge you more than that. Schwartzel, in response to CNN, said he doesn't tell hosts what to say, and the microphone is available to Oberweis and Lauf if they want to persuade his listeners. He said two candidates who moved to Southwest Florida to run for this seat are now upset that Southwest Florida radio political talk hosts aren't deferential enough to them. He said that's not an FCC problem, that's talk radio, and it's the First Amendment. So that's kind of where it stands at the moment. Courtesy of CNN, they refer to it as a clown show because of the dubious backgrounds of some of the people. And what can I tell you? We're seeing it play out right in front of us right this very minute, and it is definitely a zoo out there. Definitely a zoo. In other news this morning, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but it's almost here. I guess it is here. The most vile substance on the face of the earth. You know what that is, right? Yep, ketchup is now available in a new form. You will hate this or you will love this. If you like ketchup, my guess is you will love this. Get ready. Hellmann's, the mayonnaise people, are announcing ketchup slices. Individually wrapped, solid condiment product is how it's being described. Designed to peel and drape over burgers or sandwiches like a slice of cheese. Marketed as a mess-free solution to prevent soggy bread. This thing has sparked widespread online debate and mixed reactions. What some of the people, well, first of all, what they're saying about it. Proponents note they're portable, non-refrigerated, portion-controlled, and keep burger buns dry by eliminating liquid squeeze bottle mess. The skeptics, on the other hand, mock the concept as an unnecessary solution to a problem that never existed, comparing the rubbery, solid condiment texture, oh, God, it just gives me the creeps thinking about it, to fruit leather or dried plate ketchup. You know what dried plate ketchup is? That's where it's been on your plate so long it dries out, and it's like glue. I'm telling you right now, this is definitely a solution in search of a problem. I find ketchup to be disgusting in its original form, and to find it in slab form ain't working for me, to tell you the truth. 721, there's a new forecast out for hurricane season, and it's pretty good news. It looks like the National Hurricane Center has reduced its forecast to 0 to 2 major hurricanes. They say we could have no major hurricanes this summer, or we could have as many as 2. Now that would be remarkable. I'm telling you right now. I'm excited for the fact that the peak of hurricane season may be the peak of no hurricane season. We haven't had a hurricane yet this year in the Atlantic, and we've only had 2 named storms. You know, the one in the Gulf was one of them, the one that went up into Louisiana and Texas. That was a tropical storm. So that's pretty good news, huh? Wouldn't you take it? Coming up later in the show, we're going to be talking with former Naples Mayor Bill Barnett. Always a pleasure to get his opinion on stuff, and we'll probably ask him a little bit about the political situation here in District 19. Also, Monday, the Talkmaster is going to join us again. Yep, Neil Bortz will be with us on the Monday show, and we're going to get caught up with him and find out what he's up to and what he has on his mind as well. That'll all be Monday on the show. Also Monday, I'm planning, if all goes well, to talk with Guy Clark about sizzle dining and blessings in a backpack, and we'll definitely find out what is up there, and you'll get all the details on it, and you can look forward to trying to dine. I think it would be great if somebody would try to hit all 140 sizzle dining restaurants in the month of September. Now, you'd have to do between 3 and 4 a day to get that done. So the likelihood of being able to pull that off is slim to none. But boy, would that be a record of some sort, huh? If you could go to all 140 sizzle dining restaurants in the month of September. Even if you didn't go in the month of September, if you spread it out over 2 months, once you try it with their fixed price lunch and dinner menus, maybe you go back and eat off the regular menu for the next restaurant. You know what I'm saying? It's a really good opportunity to sample cuisine from various Naples dining establishments, to be sure. So anyway, that's what's happening on Monday. We'll be talking with Guy Clark, and we'll check in with the Talkmaster, who I can tell you is on the road in the Bortz bus. I stay in regular contact with him, so I'm aware of what's happening there. Let's see. What else is going on this morning? Oh, some famous people celebrating the day of their birth. Now, some of these people I know, some of them I don't know. Do you remember a guy named David Rashi? He was in a comedy series called Sledgehammer, and he was also in the TV series Succession, but he's probably best known. This goes back a few years. Do you remember the character Joe Isuzu? He played the character when Isuzu was a big name in automotive. He was Joe Isuzu. Also, Caroline Aaron from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is 74. Wayne Knight. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Newman. He was Newman, the postal guy, 71. Alberto Salazar, marathon runner and coach, 68. David Duchovny from the X-Files, Agent Mulder, is 66. Charlize Theron, who's currently starring in The Odyssey. Boy, was she something in Atomic Blonde and many of her other movies, 51. Abby Cornish, who was brilliant in the movie 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, is 44. NHL hockey player, Pittsburgh Penguins captain, Sidney Crosby, 39. And Mike Trout, Major League Baseball player of the Los Angeles Angels, is 35. Meanwhile, Francesca Eastwood, an actor herself and the daughter of Clint Eastwood, is 33 years old. All of that on this 7th day of August for 2026. Break time, and we will be right back, so don't go anywhere. The Dave Elliott Show continues right after these messages.
You've got Dave Elliott.
And a minute out for Alice Sweetwater's. You know, it's sizzling summer out there. You can tell just by looking at the steam on the windows in the morning. But Alice Sweetwater's has summer sizzling lunch specials just for you every day from 11 to 4. Mondays, the Smash Burger Beach Break for $12. Tuesday, it's Taco Tuesday for $12. Wednesday, the Dockside Duo, which is my favorite. 3 chicken fingers, 3 fried shrimp served with golden fries, $12. And Thursday, the classic French dip. You'll love it. Don't forget Fridays, the local catch lunch. And don't forget Alice Sweetwater's for dinner and snacks and everything in between. It's Alice Sweetwater's, my favorite place to eat, and yours too, I'm sure, at the corner of Glades Boulevard and Airport Road, diagonally across from the East Naples Home Depot. Alice Sweetwater's, where they serve crabs, shrimps, and big people.
Have you finally found your dream home, or are you looking to refinance or pull equity from your home? Then call Alpha Title Services of Florida. Don't let fraud or hidden property issues, such as liens, unpaid taxes, boundary mistakes, or a cloud on title, to name a few, ruin your big day. That's why you need Alpha Title Services in your corner. They do the deep digging to complete your contract conditions and assure your title is clear in order to provide the ultimate protection on your family's investment. Before you sign on the dotted line, make sure your future will be truly yours by contacting Alpha Title Services at 239-260-1495. To protect your dream, let your realtor or lender know you choose Alpha Title Services of Florida to handle all of your closing needs. Trust the people who have been serving the real estate community since 1999. Trust the people you can call to ask questions before signing your contract. Trust Alpha Title Services of Florida. Online at alphatitleservices.com or call 239-260-1495.
Are you ready for a culinary experience like no other? Mark your calendars for the event of the season. Sizzle Dining is happening starting September 1st through the 30th. Picture this, a world of flavors, a celebration of taste, and a chance to make a difference in our community. Savor delectable dishes, expertly crafted by top chefs, each plate telling a story of passion and creativity. But that's not all. Sizzle Dining benefits Blessings in a Backpack of Southwest Florida, a charity dedicated to ensuring no child has a hungry weekend. Dine with purpose. Every time you indulge in the exquisite offerings during Sizzle Dining, a portion of the proceeds will go directly to Blessings in a Backpack. So gather your loved ones, invite your friends, and come experience culinary excellence while making a meaningful impact. Share your moments with #DineWithPurpose. Sizzle Dining, taking place the entire month of September, where taste, compassion, and community come together in perfect harmony. Reserve your table today, because with Sizzle Dining, every bite counts and every meal matters.
When I smoke weed, I get lost in the music. I like to isolate each instrument. The rhythmic bass, the harmonies on the piano, the sticky melody.
Hey, careful, babe. There's someone crossing the street.
Sorry, I didn't see him there.
If you feel different, you drive different. Don't drive high. It's dangerous and illegal everywhere. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
He's not really old. He's 45, plus shipping and handling. Dave Elliott.
And we're back here on a Friday morning, the 7th day of August for 2026. Thank you for whatever time you've been able to give to us today. I appreciate it greatly. I'm kind of wondering where my cohort in crime is this morning, but we'll get to the bottom of that one before the day is over. In the meantime, up in Fort Myers, they're looking like a huge increase in property taxes are coming to city residents, largely due to the fact that property values in Lee County are beginning to fall. I won't say nosedive, but definitely fall. And it looks like the council approved a not to exceed 10% hike in property rates at its meeting on Monday. Now, there will be a public hearing scheduled for next month in September, at which point they can discuss lowering the 10% boost in property taxes, but they cannot raise it any more than that. The maximum rate would be 7.3112 mils, which comes out to roughly $7.31 for every $1,000 of a property's assessed value. So if you have a $100,000 property, you'd be paying $730 in taxes. That rate could be lowered, but not raised during public hearings in September, a fact stressed repeatedly by council members. Now, the city millage funds a lot of stuff: fire, police, sidewalks, parks, recreation. And they need the money. The fact is that apparently in Fort Myers, like most other government agencies, it's easier to raise taxes, or at least it's, shall we say, if not easier, at least, well, it's easier. There's no other way to put it. It's only going to be difficult when the backlash comes than to cut expenses. I would argue that there ought to be a way to find more efficiencies. Maybe the city of Fort Myers needs to put a DOGE department in place, the Department of Governmental Efficiency. Maybe they need to do that. 10% increase in taxes, that's, if you're currently paying, let's say, $3,000 in taxes, you'd be paying $3,300 in taxes if they go with the maximum 10% increase. Ouch. And that's just city taxes, by the way. So keep an eye on Fort Myers, because what happens up there could conceivably happen here. I'm not sure whether the county commission in Collier County would be interested in such a thing. Usually, property values increase to such an extent in Collier County that they almost don't have to raise the tax rate at all. Property values do that for them. And I think the county of Collier has been, from what I can tell at least, pretty responsible in keeping rate increases on the tax base to a minimum. If you have a comment or a question, or you want to weigh in on any of these things, you can call me this morning. The phone line is now open. I say phone line because I only have one. And I have no screener. It's just me taking a chance on you. But you can call me up or text me at 305-699-2665. 305-699-2665. If you live in Lee County, are you paying enough in taxes already? Do you need more? Do you need less? Do we need more stuff for the taxes to pay for, maybe? In Collier, I don't know about you, but I don't feel like I'm overtaxed in Collier. If anything, my homeowner's insurance could stand a little reduction. I don't think anybody would argue with that. But right now, things seem to be pretty copacetic in Collier County. 305-699-2665 if there's something on your mind. Love to hear from you at that number, either by phone or by text. Joan Jett, you know who she is? The great singer, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, now 68 years old. Recently underwent orthopedic surgery for a fractured vertebrae following an injury and will begin the necessary healing process, she says, according to a statement shared to her Instagram story yesterday. She is stepping away from the stage to recuperate. There was a statement issued in close consultation with her doctors. Joan will not be able to perform at her forthcoming September scheduled shows in Costa Mesa, California on September 5th and Louisville, Kentucky on September 24th. The statement said while she hates to disappoint fans, she'll be taking this time to focus on physical therapy and healing. Meanwhile, what is going on with Barry Manilow? Having to cancel, as I mentioned yesterday, a concert 45 minutes before it was scheduled to start. The house was full. People were anticipating seeing him. And he had to cancel the concert because of ongoing complications or slower recovery than needed or expected as a result of lung cancer. He was a smoker in his earlier days. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. But Barry Manilow has canceled concerts now. Joan Jett. Barry's 82, so he's got a couple of years on Joan Jett. But it's kind of sad to see these iconic performers dealing with health issues. Other news this morning, whether you work in an office or from home, you're likely familiar with the after-lunch slump that makes you reach for another coffee or soda. If you've front-loaded a lot of caffeine in the morning, and I know a lot of people who cannot get their day started without a jolt from the coffee pot. But if that's you, this is typically the time you'd feel a crash, say right after lunch. Eating a large meal or not drinking enough water can also lead to, I call it the lunch coma. You get done with lunch and the first thing you want to do is go back to the office, put your head down on the desk and take about a 20-minute nap. Well, there's nothing wrong with reaching for a pick-me-up at that time of the day, although a short walk or refilling your water bottle is the healthiest option. But if your personal favorite afternoon treat is a Diet Coke, listen to this news. An updated study from the peer-reviewed journal Neurology presents some new data you're going to want to see. The study's newest findings present kind of a concerning link between low and no-calorie sweeteners, or better known as LNCS, low and no-calorie sweeteners used in diet drinks, and accelerated cognitive decline. If you drink a lot of Diet Coke, you're likely to have cognitive decline above and beyond what the normal population would see. The study's newest findings present a concerning link between low and no-calorie sweeteners used in diet drinks and accelerated cognitive decline. It's worth repeating. In a pool of almost 13,000 Brazilian participants tested over 8 years, people younger than age 60 who consumed these LNCS substances regularly showed a faster decline in verbal fluency and global cognition, all around mental health, I guess you could say, or alertness. The studied LNCS included aspartame, saccharin, acesulfame K, erythritol, xylitol, sorbitol, and tagatose. I noticed it left out stevia and truvia. Or truvia. Is it called truvia? Stevia and truvia? Whatever it is. 6 of the 7 sweeteners showed a link to cognitive decline, with tagatose being the one that did not. People below age 60 who consume artificial sweeteners regularly showed a faster decline in verbal fluency and global cognition. Participants were tested at the beginning, middle, and end of the study to track changes and then separated into 3 groups based on consumption levels. The highest consumption level group showed a cognitive decline of 62% faster than that of the lowest group. However, those over 60 did not show an association between LNCS and cognitive decline. So apparently if you can make it to 60 and you're okay, it's okay to drink Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi and Diet whatever. I frankly am glad I don't drink soda anymore, although I will confess that I do drink a beverage that does have an artificial sweetener in it. It's called sparkling ice. You've probably heard of it. It's basically flavored sparkling water, but it has 5 calories, and the only way they can get 5 calories is by putting artificial sweeteners in it. So maybe I'll be one of those people. I certainly hope not. I don't drink a lot of it. If I have a couple of bottles a week, that's a lot. We talked about the hurricane season earlier, and I mentioned that it looks like we're going to be seeing fewer hurricanes than we might normally expect this year because of the active El Nino system out in the Pacific. Well, 2 months into the Atlantic hurricane season, the United States has largely been spared. We know we had Arthur and Bertha. That's about what meteorologists expected when they said this year's hurricane season would probably see fewer storms than most other seasons. But off the West Coast, things look a little different. There've been 7 named storms since the season began, the Pacific season began. The most recent, Genevieve, became a Category 5 hurricane in late July, the strongest storm in the region in nearly 2 years. Wednesday, experts with the National Hurricane Center were monitoring a few clusters of thunderstorms roughly halfway between Mexico and Hawaii, each of which had some chance of becoming a named storm in the next week. Storms that form in the Pacific generally move west, away from mainland North America, so although Genevieve was especially intense, it was mostly harmless as it moved through open waters. But thanks to El Nino, the Pacific Ocean faces a higher than normal risk of hurricanes this year, increasing the likelihood that a major storm will break from this kind of predictable path and could hit California, Mexico, or Hawaii, according to U.S. forecasters, and that is definitely something to be aware of. The ones that turn are a challenge for a number of reasons, said Jamie Rome, the deputy director of the National Hurricane Center. The last El Nino season in 2023 produced several extreme storms that did just that. You probably don't remember any of these because they didn't affect us, but they did affect people over on the Pacific side. Otis, Hillary, and Norma, each of which created what Mr. Rome called a messaging conundrum for the National Hurricane Center, which is tasked with explaining complex threats to a population that is largely unfamiliar with hurricanes. The regions can potentially affect these areas, the Eastern Pacific, and the Eastern Pacific and the Pacific Northwest, Central Pacific as well. In their predictions this spring, forecasters of the NOAA said both were likely to experience above average seasons, and so far they've been right. The Eastern Pacific, which is closest to California and Mexico, and traditionally experiences 15 named storms, could expect between 15 and 22 this year. Maybe good for them to get a little taste of our medicine, huh? The Central Pacific surrounding Hawaii could look forward to between 5 and 13 named storms or depressions, compared with the typical 4 or 5. And the California risk is real. While tropical systems are pretty rare in California, El Nino seasons do occasionally steer them north toward the state. In 2023, Hurricane Hillary prompted its first ever tropical storm watch, sparing the immediate coast, but it got historic flooding happening that filled Death Valley for months with the lake. You know, Death Valley is actually below sea level. It's very hot there, too. It's among the hottest areas in the country or in the world. Then there's the Hawaii risk. An outlook of 5 to 13 Central Pacific systems is a significant forecast, said Derek Rowe, a meteorologist with the Weather Service in Honolulu. The heightened risk arrives as the islands recover from record-setting spring rains. So it looks like they're in for a time and a half up in the Pacific, the eastern Pacific, which would be along the California coast, maybe even as far north as Washington State, depending on how warm the water gets. And all because of El Nino. They like La Nina. We like El Nino. Are you a UFO person? I wouldn't say I'm a UFO person, but I am intrigued by what UFOs do or don't do. An eerie glowing orb appeared to hang frozen in the Colorado sky for 6 hours, leaving witnesses unable to explain what they had seen. There's a really, and no surprise, it was there for 6 hours. You would think somebody would be able to get good video of this thing with a high-quality telephoto lens that would capture the details. 6 hours. It's not like it was only there for 12 seconds and you had to get what you got. But does anybody have good, clear, clean video of this thing? Of course not. 6 hours. Thank you very much. A fencing crew noticed the brilliant white object near Newcastle at approximately 11 a.m. and said it remained in the same position until they left the area around 4:30 p.m. Images and footage that was taken show what appears to be a luminous, almost perfectly circular object against the clear blue sky. John Smith, I guess that's his real name, said he got the thing perfectly round and transparent through binoculars, almost like a ball of energy. He added the orb displayed no obvious movement, despite being watched throughout the working day. Adding to the mystery, the crew claimed this was not their first encounter with the unexplained object. Smith said, "We saw the second orb a week later about 50 miles away on another job site. Same exact situation. The orb stayed in place the entire day." Sounds to me like a weather balloon. The photograph alone cannot establish the object's size, altitude, or distance on the camera, leaving open more conventional explanations, like I said, a balloon or some sort of optical illusion. But it is apparent that something was happening. It was able to remain fixed for hours, and its alleged appearance in 2 different places has left the witnesses searching for answers. Smith shared the footage and image in a Facebook group where users offer numerous explanations. These are always helpful. "I honestly think that it's a daytime plasma orb, which doesn't happen often," one user said. Several others argued the object was nothing more than a weather balloon, which is what I think it is. It was triple the height of a 747, said somebody else. I'm not sure how they could tell that from whatever distance they were looking at it. It was really unclear how he calculated the object's altitude. But whatever it was, a mystery wrapped in a puzzle surrounded by an enigma. We'll never know. It was just up there. And the fact that it was in broad daylight means no self-respecting alien would be piloting something like that, because they want to be, they want to be unknown when they're doing their surveillance on the planet. They don't want anybody to see them out there. Viagra. From UFOs to Viagra. Now, name another show that you listen to that can make that transition. I would be surprised if you could find something. Viagra has been quietly racking up a second kind of use. Best known for treating ED, sildenafil, which is the scientific name for this stuff, turns out to have a separate, previously unrecognized effect inside cancer cells. It appears to disrupt their cholesterol supply, potentially leaving them poorly equipped to spread through the body. A new study published in Cancer Research found that sildenafil disrupts how cancer cells handle cholesterol, a fat tumors depend on to build the flexible membranes they need to invade new tissue. By wrapping cholesterol inside a cellular recycling compartment, the drug may limit how much cholesterol cancer cells have to work with. Mouse experiments across breast, lung, and colon cancer models conducted in female mice showed reduced metastasis, while cell line experiments showed reduced migration and viability. What all this means is, after looking at health records from more than 40,000 male cancer patients, they found that men who had filled at least 3 sildenafil prescriptions in the 6 months before diagnosis and also used statins for cholesterol were associated with a 31% lower risk of death within 5 years compared to those who used neither drug. So now there's hope that Viagra could help reduce the instances of cancer in some cases. Now, cholesterol has a bad reputation in heart disease, but inside cells, it's a building material for outer walls and internal parts. Tumor cells, breaking away from a primary mass, need a lot of it to rebuild those walls and push through surrounding tissue, if you don't mind me getting a little technical here. So if you use Viagra, now you have another excuse. Honey, I don't need it for that. I need it for cancer prevention. Oh, and by the way, it does work for that other thing. You know what I mean? Anyway, sildenafil, Viagra, something I thought you'd want to know. Recent research show, as long as we're talking about health and cognitive and other behaviors, recent research shows that computerized cognitive speed training and top-down thinking exercises are more effective than traditional puzzles like Sudoku or crosswords at reducing dementia risk and improving processing speed. For example, top-down thinking, higher order skills for planning, reasoning, and shifting attention, while resisting distractions like quick math or strategic decisions can be useful. Bottom-up training, sensory input, reaction speed, and visual attention tasks that require you to rapidly detect and track multiple different stimuli under time pressure. That would be the difference. Those top-down thinking exercises are more effective than the other kind of exercises. Some of the key scientific findings include a lower dementia risk. Long-term studies link computerized speed processing training to a 25% lower risk of developing dementia. Clinical trials show different benefits work through different biological paths. Men showed changes in Alzheimer-linked blood biomarkers, while women experienced direct cognitive improvements with other same biomarker shifts. I've often believed this. If you can keep your brain active, if you can constantly be doing, for example, I do, the Apple News has a series of puzzles that they put out on a daily basis. I should be doing more. I do the mini crossword because I have a short attention span. The mini crossword is, I believe it's 5 words across and 5 words up and down. And they give really bizarre clues. They're not typical crossword puzzle clues at all. So sometimes they're easy to get and sometimes they're not easy to get, especially when they use emojis. They like to use emojis to use as clues, and sometimes the emojis are so small on my phone I can't tell what they are, or it's an emoji that I don't know what it is. Have you noticed people put emojis in their emails, and sometimes you can figure them out? The ones I use the most often are the thumbs up, the heart, for I like that, and the OK symbol, and also the smiley face. Yesterday I sent somebody an upside down smiley face, not because I didn't know it was upside down, but just because I thought it was funny. And what was really weird is when you look at it upside down, even though you know it's a smiley face upside down, it actually looks like he's frowning until you turn it around and see, nope, there's a smile there. Definitely a smile there. If you're a media wonk, you'll be interested in this next piece. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, which regulates the broadcast airwaves, voted yesterday to eliminate a cap on the share of U.S. television households a single company can reach. A major move that could pave the way for more corporate consolidation in the media industry. I guess the people in Fort Myers already anticipated that because one of the companies now owns 3 of the 5 major network television stations in the market, and another company is owned, well, they actually own one and they manage another. So we now have 2 owners for 5 radio television stations in the market, and we only have about 3 major players for radio stations in the market. Now it looks like, at least from the television perspective, hey, knock yourself out. You can own them all if you want to. In a 2-1 vote, the FCC repealed a 22-year-old rule holding that a company cannot own stations that reach more than a combined 39% of the U.S. television market. Now, this rule has only been in effect, again, 22 years. The ownership limit will be replaced by a case-by-case approach. The decision to remove the cap had been widely expected. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr last month wrote an op-ed for the conservative news site Breitbart calling the ownership limit an outdated policy that blocked local broadcasters from gaining the same scale that their competitors are free to enjoy. I'm not sure what they mean by competitors. What, newspapers? Well, newspapers are doing really well, aren't they? Huh? The print editions, anyway, not so much. Radio? Well, radio is having its struggles right now because of competition from streaming. The cap no longer restrains the power of national programmers. Instead, it prevents local broadcasters from competing on a level playing field, said Carr. The 39% cap has been in place since 2004, when Congress boosted a previous 35% limit set in the 1990s. The rule remained unaltered for more than 2 decades, partly because, well, it's federal law, it's codified. Carr has contended the FCC nonetheless has statutory authority to scrap the rule, a position that is likely to face legal pushback. One consumer group, Free Press, a progressive group, said it planned to sue over the FCC's so-called unlawful power grab. Their words, not mine. Anna M. Gomez, the lone Democratic commissioner on the FCC, blasted the vote in similar terms, calling it, quote, unlawful on its face. Eliminating the cap does not free local broadcasters from economic pressure. It just changes who is doing the squeezing, Gomez said in a statement. The large station groups positioned to grow even larger under this decision are not local broadcasters. They are national companies that own local stations and increasingly dictate what airs on them. And the example they give would be Nexstar, Tegna, Sinclair, which do, Sinclair particularly, does provide what I would call, in air quotes, editorial guidance to their stations, basically telling them what positions to take on certain issues. And, you know, that may or may not fit with the community they're in, but too bad that's what they're being told. We're going to take a break here in a second, and when we do, we're going to come back on the other side with our good friend, former Naples Mayor Bill Barnett. He'll be with us for a little while. Monday on the show, the Talkmaster joins us. Neil Bortz will be here to talk about his adventures in the world and give his thoughts on where the world stands today. And we'll have a lot more besides it. I also want to remind you that we're partnering with Sizzle Dining and Blessings in a Backpack to bring you the Sizzle Dining experience throughout Southwest Florida. 140 restaurants now in their 10th year. This thing has just exploded into quite a thing. And beginning later this month, we're going to give you a chance to win a $100 dining certificate as part of Sizzle Dining. Isn't that exciting? And they've decided to partner with us to do that. Couldn't be happier about it. Tell all your friends and neighbors. You can find us at daveontheair.com. Just click daveontheair.com, and if you're there a little bit early in the morning waiting for the show to start, it will automatically pop up and start running for you at about 15 seconds past 7 o'clock. How's that for exact? And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, too. We love to know you're out there following. We see a few new followers every single day, and we're grateful for that. Coming up, Mayor Bill Barnett, former Mayor Bill Barnett, right after this. Or maybe I have to push a different button to make that happen. Let's try this.
You've got Dave Elliott.
I'd like to take a minute to talk to you about your hearing, and especially if you are experiencing hearing problems or you've noticed recently that your hearing just isn't as acute as it used to be. Well, the folks at Naples Audiology and Hearing Center can take care of that for you. My friend, audiologist and owner Christine Peacock, and her entire staff are dedicated to one thing and one thing only. And no, it's not the freshly baked chocolate chip cookies you'll find every day when you walk in, but it's your hearing. If you wear cochlear implants, they can help you with that. If you wear hearing aids, they can help you tune them up or get them repaired if they're under warranty, or if you need to be replacing them, they can help you with that too. At Naples Audiology and Hearing Center, they are the experts. They've been around a long time, and it's not this one-size-fits-all thing with them because everybody's hearing concerns are unique. Naples Audiology and Hearing Center, online at napleshearingcenter.com, or call them at 239-434-2434 and tell them you heard about it on the Dave Elliott Show.
Are you ready for a culinary experience like no other? Mark your calendars for the event of the season. Sizzle Dining is happening starting September 1st through the 30th. Picture this: a world of flavors, a celebration of taste, and a chance to make a difference in our community. Savor delectable dishes, expertly crafted by top chefs, each plate telling a story of passion and creativity. But that's not all. Sizzle Dining benefits Blessings in a Backpack of Southwest Florida, a charity dedicated to ensuring no child has a hungry weekend. Dine with purpose. Every time you indulge in the exquisite offerings during Sizzle Dining, a portion of the proceeds will go directly to Blessings in a Backpack. So gather your loved ones, invite your friends, and come experience culinary excellence while making a meaningful impact. Share your moments with hashtag Dine with Purpose. Sizzle Dining, taking place the entire month of September, where taste, compassion, and community come together in perfect harmony. Reserve your table today, because with Sizzle Dining, every bite counts and every meal matters.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
He's reached that age where his brain goes, you probably shouldn't say that, to, I can't wait to see where this goes. Dave Elliott.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you taking time out to spend a little bit with us here on the Dave Elliott Show for a Friday. Rain in the forecast for this afternoon, but sunshine on the phone with former Naples Mayor Bill Barnett. Hi, Bill.
Hey, Dave. Good morning.
How are you?
Sunny.
I'll tell you what, we need the rain. You know, we're still technically in a drought.
Yeah, that's what I heard the other day. They said we haven't caught up yet, but it seems like all over Collier County is getting rain.
It does seem that way, and it's good. You know, that brings up an interesting question. When you were mayor and you were on the council for all those many years, I remember numerous discussions about the aquifer. And my question is, how seriously depleted does the aquifer become in times of droughts like this? Do you recall?
I don't. I mean, because you don't hear anything about it anymore. I imagine that we would, definitely hear if it was in dire shapes or dire straits, but I haven't heard anything about it.
Well, up in
Have
Cape Coral, they're dealing with wells running dry.
Oh, let me tell you, there's some serious droughts going around. And speaking of that, and really jumping wild, how about Puerto Rico?
Water rationing every 48 hours. You're allowed to get water.
Yeah,
It's really bad there.
But the real question is, what can I mean, what do we do? What do they do? I've been following that now for a day or two. I mean, these people are in dire straits, and
Well, it's not like you can bring tankers of water over.
No.
I would argue that probably if anybody is eligible for a desalinization plant, it would be the nation
right.
of Puerto Rico.
You're so right. Yeah, and that that can be done, and I think I don't know why they haven't thought about that before, unless maybe they have, but haven't needed it. You know what I mean?
Well, they are a U.S. territory, and I think the federal government needs to step in. But I think right now the federal government is not crazy about they're not crazy about helping out Puerto Rico.
Yeah, look, we get into that, and I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, you don't hear a lot about it, and that's. I mean, I just think that should be moved up, regardless.
Yeah,
you can't let these people. I mean, go without water, and some can't go without drinking water or bathing water or any kind of water. I mean, every other day, I guess they get a ration. But I was watching it last night. I mean, it's terrible. Well, keep our fingers crossed for them anyway.
Yeah, you bet. And then we have the new predictions from the National Hurricane Center on what we can expect this summer, and the new prediction is 0 to 2 major hurricanes.
Yeah,
0 to 2.
Yes, that is if you believe the predictions, because every year
I know
we get them, and they're off by a few, to say the least. But that Sahara dust has got a lot to do with it, and that's a fact. And that would be a nice thing.
Well, and El Nino, the super El Nino over in the Pacific side too.
Right. I mean, that would be a great thing.
Hey, did I see you endorsing a political candidate on TV?
Yeah, you probably did.
It was very brief. I think you were on screen maybe 3 seconds.
Jim Oberweis.
Oberweis,
yeah.
Yeah. How do you know him?
Well, I met him at a get together for our state attorney, and he was standing next to me. I'd never met him before, and we started chatting, and I liked what he stood for. Had a really, really good career, gives to a lot of charities, which I like. And he wasn't doing it just to give money. He was doing it because he cared about them. And he just seems like, and he's got a hell of a business. I mean, his business background is unbelievable.
I don't know too much about him. What I noticed there was an article in CNN referring to the large number of candidates who are running in District 19 here in Southwest Florida, and it is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
one ad after the other attacking. You'll hear a guy being attacked, and then the next ad is him.
Yeah, speaking of that, and I was a little puzzled, but what popped up on Chris's my wife's cell phone yesterday was a text, and it was some nasty stuff about Byron Donalds, and I like Byron and always have. And then I never saw anything about it. It was I don't even know what it was, but it wasn't nice.
Well, I have a little information on that.
Okay.
Apparently, one of the other gubernatorial candidates, I think it was Mr. Fishbeck, if I'm not mistaken. It might not. Right. I don't want to be quoted. It might be a different one.
Right.
Has claimed that he has documentary proof of a felony potentially that was committed by Mr. Donalds. Now, that's just what he said. And supposedly yesterday he was going to unveil this information and we'll all hear it. But I have heard nothing about it since then.
No,
I
and
think
I
it's just
don't
nonsense.
pay any attention to it. Right. I mean, and some of the other, as usual, the trash about, when the candidates trashing each other is really, it's just, it's not only annoying, but it's a lack of class.
It's a long way from the three good men, isn't it? At the time, that was scandalous.
The three good men. Well,
Joe Herms, who was it? Joe Herms, Fred Tarrant, and
Fred Coyle.
Fred Coyle.
Yeah, those are names that most people today listening to this show
Ancient city council history.
Yeah, they really thought that they were going to run away with it. Well, as it is, Fred Coyle, toward the end of the campaign, got smart and decided he wanted out, basically, of the three good men. So he kind of pulled himself away from that. But Fred Tarrant for many years was a councilman, and I see Joe Herms once in a while. I run into him in one of the stores downtown, whatever. And he, I'm gonna tell you something, Dave. He really was a good guy, very smart. But the way he presented himself, I mean, when he got his teeth into something, he wouldn't let go.
Well, and Fred turned out to be a very successful county commissioner. Fred Coyle.
Fred Coyle did, yes, yeah.
Even to the point of becoming, I don't know if friendly is the right word, but he became admired by one of the most polarizing members of the county commission, Georgia Hiller.
Right.
She even proposed naming Freedom Park after him.
Yeah, they did. I'm still waiting.
How about the Barnett storm sewer?
Yeah, I think that would probably be more more apropos, or some garbage can in an alley or whatever. But I started to tell you a couple of weeks ago about, we go back to the election, the city election, with the COVID happening, and when Teresa, when I lost to Teresa for mayor in 2020, and it was like, to this day, I think about it and I get reminded about it. After all the years, and you're the one that brings it up a lot about how long I'd served. I didn't get, and you don't get anything. You serve because because A, you love the job, and B, you love the people, and you do well with it.
It sure as hell wasn't for the money.
No, it definitely was not. And when you speak about money, that's another thing. Never a pension. Do you know that council people and mayor do not get pensions?
I didn't know that, but
that is a big deal. And I will tell you a brief story about that way back when former Mayor Ned Putzel and Stan Billick, they were the earlier mayors, and I was a rookie on council. Every time, so I mean, I was young. I was 44 in '84, and these, everyone that was serving on council then had their careers. So they were set for whatever they were going to do, and probably pensions from their other jobs or whatever they had done. And every time someone brought up a pension for council or mayor, it was shot down by the former mayor and the other council members, saying, "No, we do this job because we love it," and that's the way it should be. And Dave, it kept up like that until the subject just never came up anymore. But I think that was a big mistake back then. But hey, who knew? You know what I mean? So no, none of us got pensions, and still don't.
And in fact, in the state of Florida, the pension system has been overhauled. I think under Rick Scott, one of the former Naples City Councilmen, Gary Price, was actually an advisor to them to overhaul the pension system in the state of Florida, where workers have one, but they have to contribute quite a bit into it. And that
Right,
includes
right,
teachers, firefighters, paramedics.
right. The point was you should be able to get it. I mean, no matter what the details were back then, there was just it was not a subject of discussion.
Yeah.
Period. But I was just saying about myself when I left. It wasn't, Chris had planned a party at Baker Park, the new park. There was, kind of a couple of celebrations. Nothing, nothing, zero. It was like I walked out the door, and it was like, the old story: don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. That was it. I mean, that was it. And to this day, I still wonder, what went on there. But the COVID was so bad, and
Sure.
so that was my going away party. There
Well,
wasn't.
well, and there was, the election was a little bit bitter, as I
Yeah,
recall, and there were all these, we're going to come in and we're going to change everything. We're going to require the height requirements in the city to remain steadfast. There will be no
right,
variations. 42 feet, that's it. You can't
right,
go an inch higher. We want
right.
to stop people from having events on Fifth Avenue. We haven't even talked about, you and I, yet, about the Cars on Fifth debacle.
No, we haven't.
I think it's just a crime what they have done to Cars on Fifth, but I think Cars on Fifth will wind up surviving and maybe become even better and bigger because of it. At least I
Yeah,
have my faith in Tom Reardon to be able to put together a really great event. They've raised
where?
millions of dollars for charity with that event, including St. Matthew's House and other
Well,
organizations.
yeah. Go ahead.
And I was just going to say, what has changed from year over year to suddenly make it not a desirable thing to have downtown?
Well, let's go back and real briefly and just talk about. Hold on a sec. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sneeze.
At least you
No,
didn't sneeze into the phone, so I didn't have to turn away.
You're right, and probably another one coming.
I
I
understand.
think I'm
I know
good.
how sneezes work. I get them in clusters of 3 and 4 sometimes.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, okay, so you take Cars on Fifth back to the beginning when somebody had the idea, obviously, and they was the car club or Reardon or whomever.
Wasn't it the
I don't
Ferrari
remember.
Club?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was Ferrari Club, and so the first couple of years, it was first the first year or two. I don't even know if we charged admission, but um, the third year, the admission was like $7 a person. Okay, and there were tons of ways to. If you wanted to see the car show, you could see it. There were a lot of alleys and ways to get in there and see the beautiful cars. And it started to grow, and as it was growing, um, they got more and more cars and different groups, and the prices started to go up. Okay, and till the other, this last one that they did and everything, I heard a number that like just blew me away. I mean, something like $30 a ticket, $40 a ticket to get in to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it got to be where you couldn't bring your kids. And if there's somebody listening to your show that is a member or whatever or can say different, then they should call in. But I'm telling you, it got to be out of hand. So the question is well, why did they or why are they getting rid of it? Because it's too big, it's too much. They don't have room for the cars and whatever, and they can't find a solution. And they said it causes too many problems and there's too much. The police have too much to do. The fire guys have too much to do in protecting that, and all of a sudden, here they go. They're going to get rid of another thing that was just so phenomenal for Naples. Okay, you can find a way to make it work. I would tell you right now, and this is just my suggestion, and I didn't make it up because I heard it from talking to a friend. But the suggestion was tell the car dealers who put 3 and 4 and 5 of their own cars in that show. You know what I mean? Like the Mercedes or the Porsche dealer. Okay, hey guys, you can put 3 cars there. All right. Take your top 3 and put them in there. But they were putting just a load of cars in there, and no wonder you run out of space. So I don't know where they're going to go. You say, they'll come up with a place that's bigger and better, but will it ever be as good as the one on Fifth Avenue South?
Well, you
I
can't
don't
call
know.
it Cars on Fifth if it ain't on Fifth. At least it
No,
doesn't
it
make
was,
any
you got
sense
that,
to do that.
got that right, and time is of essence. There were suggestions have been made. Fort Myers Beach.
I heard they're going to go to Tampa or St. Pete and do one up there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I literally don't know.
Oh,
We'll
Fort
find out.
Myers Beach would be horrible. Can you imagine trying to get on
Yeah,
and off
no,
the beach with that thing happening?
no. Yeah, I mean, you absolutely
I think Paradise
could.
Coast Sports Complex is a viable spot.
Yeah, yep.
And
I agree with that.
North Collier Regional Park, and frankly, I like Sugden Park. I think Sugden Park gets a lot of short shrift around here.
I don't know if they have enough room.
Well,
but
they may
might have.
not, but there is a big grassy area there. They've held concerts there.
Right.
They put fireworks there.
Yeah, yeah. They do. I see. I see. Collier County. I'm just switching gears. Where you got
Yeah, go ahead.
They got an $8 million boost for early learning from the Naples Wine Fest.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just something that we kind of take for granted. But what a job they do.
The wine festival is the main reason why the Naples airport needs to stay viable and active and be where it is.
Absolutely.
What do you think about the Naples Airport Authority's squabble with the city council right now? You've been involved in many opportunities with the NAA.
I think I'd go to the bottom line with that one and say, look, as long as there's 3 council people, it's a 5-member board. As long as there's 3 city council members, that would be the controlling vote. They can do what they want, but as long as it happens that way, I'm okay with it. I mean, they don't know what they want.
Well, there won't be council members. They'll be elected at large.
But
they will be city residents, and they have to have aviation and business experience.
Right.
2 coming from the county, and
3 in the city.
Does it seem to you? Because it seems to me to be a waste of time and effort to attempt to try to persuade the state that they made a mistake.
Yeah, you're not going to do that.
No.
I mean, that's just not gonna. It's just not going to happen.
So. The city of Fort Myers has announced that they are hoping to get a 10% increase in property taxes there. Now, it could go lower. It may not be 10%. It could be 5% or 6%, but a maximum of 10%.
Right.
Because property values are falling in Lee County. Is it entirely necessary, do you think, to go at one fell swoop for a 10% property tax increase? Have you ever done that in the city of Naples?
No.
Yeah.
No, but they better have be able to
have a good rationale.
Yeah, I mean, they better be able to show why it's needed. And then I see they're talking about, if we talk about Collier County, what the driver's license data was showing, that more than 200,000 people from other states have switched driver's license to Florida in the first half of 2026.
I saw that, but only 5,000 have come to Collier County.
Yeah, that's okay.
That makes us 15th in the state in terms of counties where, in terms of immigration inbound. Miami-Dade was at the top of the list with, I think, 15,000 for the first half of the year. So that pretends that a 10,000 number by the end of the year would be a good guess.
Yeah.
But that only includes out-of-staters. It doesn't include people from in-state who may move from one place to another.
Right. That, I mean, it's, you never know what you're going to find what goes on daily and with the politics. And now with all the elections coming up, I don't know half the candidates. Do you?
Well, first of all, some of them can't afford to advertise, so we don't know who they are. But the ones that I see, Schwartzel, Oberweis,
Right.
Loff, Askar. I see Sheriff Rambosk is endorsing Casey Askar.
Yeah, I saw that.
Chris Collins. Those are the ones that I think are the major players.
And then I see the one of the biggest bashers, so to speak, were Askar and who's the other one who's running with him? That the lady.
Belinda.
Yeah, Belinda Belinsky or whatever her name is. Boy, she went after those two big time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Meisner, is that her name? I don't know what her last name is.
Yeah, I mean, calling them crooks and one never voted in a GOP. Never registered GOP or never voted in anything.
Well, CNN is covering this district in today's on today's CNN. Go to their website. They refer to it as a clown show, and then and then they delineate the shady behaviors that they have found behind. One guy was sentenced to prison for 26 months, only did 2 months because he got pardoned.
Right.
Another guy was, part of January 6th and was convicted and got pardoned. And they go through the whole list of all the stuff in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to go to their site and take a look at that. But not that it matters. We just stopped paying attention to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've already voted, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Do you think we will ever see a ban on mail-in voting in the state of Florida?
No.
Even though the president wants mail-in voting, except for him, to be banned?
Yeah, no, I've been kind of following that. I just I don't think that's going to happen.
It's wildly popular, and to be honest with you,
I love it.
You and I are both we're different ages, but we're of the same point that we don't want to stand in a long line for 4 hours.
Well, you know what happens, Dave, and then I guess we're saying goodbye for today. But
we got time. I got all the time in the world.
You do.
Do you want to talk till 10? We can do that.
No, I don't.
Oh.
I'll give you to 8:30 where we are, but I will tell you, talking about that. The fact is, people wouldn't vote.
I agree.
Right?
Well, I like the convenience of being able to sit at my desk, which I did. When it came to the judges, I had to look them up because I didn't know who was who.
Yeah, I asked, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I asked a friend of mine who was a judge who they liked, and so they told me because there was a couple we didn't know, and that's how I did it. How else are you going to do it? You can go and maybe find them on the website and stuff, but I'd rather have it come from someone that knows them. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel terrible for you that you were not given a going away party. And I think I think we need to have one, maybe the night before New Year's Eve.
Yeah, listen, those days are long gone. What you and I need to do is have our dinner at Alice Sweetwater's.
You name it, and I'll be there.
All right, you got a deal.
Thank you, Bill.
So, okay, Dave, you have a good week, okay?
Former Mayor Bill Barnett, you'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care. You bet. I love talking to Bill. He's got more history in his brain than most people have in a lifetime. I'm telling you what. Great to talk to him. 8:29, we'll be back with the impossible question and other stuff right after this.
You've got Dave Elliott.
Have you finally found your dream home? Or are you looking to refinance or pull equity from your home? Then call Alpha Title Services of Florida. Don't let fraud or hidden property issues, such as liens, unpaid taxes, boundary mistakes, or a cloud on title, to name a few, ruin your big day. That's why you need Alpha Title Services in your corner. They do the deep digging to complete your contract conditions and assure your title is clear in order to provide the ultimate protection on your family's investment. Before you sign on the dotted line, make sure your future will be truly yours by contacting Alpha Title Services at 239-260-1495. To protect your dream, let your realtor or lender know you choose Alpha Title Services of Florida to handle all of your closing needs. Trust the people who have been serving the real estate community since 1999. Trust the people you can call to ask questions before signing your contract. Trust Alpha Title Services of Florida. Online at alphatitleservices.com or call 239-260-1495.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. But prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The impossible question on the Dave Elliott Show.
All right, you ready to win a $25 gift certificate to Alice Sweetwater's? Well, I've got it for you. Today, we're going to give you a chance to win that $25 if you know the answer to our IQ. So be ready because it could be you who wins. I'm trying to find a little music to play in the background. How about that? We'll just let that roll in the background for a little while. I like to spice it up here once in a while. So what we're going to do is ask you a question. You come up with the answer. If you or a member of your household haven't won anything in the last 30 days and you live nearby, it's good for you to play today. And we're going to be strict about the 30-day deal. If we don't have a winner today because we've used up all of our listeners, we'll wait for another 30 days before you can claim a prize. But in the meantime, we'll put the answer. We won't put the answer. We'll put the question on Instagram and Facebook for you so you can guess there if you don't get it here. So here we go. Parents tell their children, preteens, no almost 25 times a day. This is the number one thing parents say no to in the summertime. Are you following this? Parents tell their preteen children no almost 25 times a day. This is the number one thing parents say no to in the summertime. So what's the number one thing parents tell their preteens no to in the summertime? Give me a call, or rather a text, at 305-699-2665. 305-699-2665. And let's see if we have a winner on this one. What do parents say no to their preteens during the summertime? No, you can't do that. Or no, I'm not going to let you. Or no, you can't. Or whatever. Give me a text right now at 305-699-COOL. That's 305-699-2665. Parents tell their preteen children no almost 25 times a day. This is the number one thing parents say no to in summer. What is it? It's a simple enough question. If you're a parent, you probably said no to your kids a few times about this particular thing. 305-699-2665. 305-699-COOL. Send me a text with your first name and the answer, and we'll see if we can't give you a $25 gift certificate to Alice Sweetwater's. In the meantime, we will leave the question on the table, and you can text me whenever you want, really, between now and the time we end the show today, and let me know. Peggy said, go swimming with friends. Sorry, Peggy, that is not the right answer, but it was worth hearing from you just to know that. Here's the buzzer. Yeah, I can't really play the buzzer while I'm playing the music, as it turns out. So let's just stop the music. How about that? And then I can play the buzzer nice and loud the next time somebody calls us with a wrong answer or texts us with a wrong answer. Peggy got it again. This time she got it right. Hey, Peggy, the other Peggy, you just won. Yep, you got it right. Stay up late. Parents tell their preteen children no almost 25 times a day. This is the number one thing parents say no to in summer. We have two Peggies who listen to us. One won yesterday, and the other one just won today. Hot dog. Stay up late was the correct answer. Susie in beautiful East Naples, what did she say? Let's see here. She said, well, I have to go to the answer to look and see. I'm so old. She said, I'm not up to date on the latest wants. Oh, Susie, stop it. Old is a frame of mind. Howard said unsupervised swimming, also an incorrect answer, but the other Peggy, I'll say the other Peggy because the other Peggy that used to be the other Peggy won yesterday. Did you follow that? I'll be contacting you after the show to tell you how you can claim your prize, Peggy. Congratulations. And that's the impossible question for today. In case you missed it, parents tell their preteen children no almost 25 times a day. This is the number one thing parents say no to in the summertime. Can I stay up late? No. We want to get some sleep. I used to want to stay up late when I was a kid so I could watch from start to finish the Johnny Carson show. At night, I could lie in bed and hear my parents downstairs laughing out loud to Johnny Carson's jokes. Couldn't hear the jokes, could kind of hear the music, but I always heard them laughing out loud, and I thought, boy, if it's that funny, I want to be able to watch it. And so in the summertime, I would beg to stay up to watch the Johnny Carson show, and they were pretty lenient. They actually let me do it. A bipartisan group of senators says that they've introduced legislation to fast-track any Social Security saving bills that could shore up the dwindling trust fund that supplements payroll taxes and keep benefits 100% intact. The Social Security Administration is facing across-the-board benefit cuts in 6 years, and older Americans want solutions, not opaquely operating committees, AARP says. A bipartisan 7-member Social Security Advisory Board would draft a bill to keep the program's trust funds solvent for at least the next half century. The so-called Protecting Retirement Opportunities and Maintaining Income Security for Everyone, or PROMISE Act. Somebody had to be tortured to come up with that acronym. Would then be introduced in the House and Senate by congressional leaders before being considered by committees, which could hold hearings and then revise the legislation. So there is at least some action being taken. I'm not sure it's going to result in anything tangible, but hopefully it will. Some prominent think tanks like the Bipartisan Policy Center and the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget support the move to jumpstart a path toward keeping Social Security solvent. Instead of waiting 5.5 years when it's going to expire in 6 months, they're starting 6 years ahead of time because everything moves slowly in D.C. BPC endorsed the proposed legislation as a serious bipartisan process to break the status quo of inaction, while CRFB said it hoped the proposal jumpstarts a much-needed process to ensure Social Security. Can you imagine being the congressman, senator, or president that is running for election and has to say, sorry, your benefits aren't going to be there. I guarantee you they ain't getting no votes, if you'll pardon my double negative and poor language. However, AARP actually strongly opposes the bill. That's a unique thing. The nonprofit, nonpartisan advocate for 125 million Americans aged 50 and older says Congress urgently needs to address Social Security's finances, but there's no reason for lawmakers to farm out that work to another body as it would in the PROMISE Act. AARP Chief Advocacy and Engagement Officer Nancy Lamond wrote in a July 21st letter addressed to Senator Dick Durbin, the Democratic whip from Illinois, and Senator Bill Cassidy, the Republican from Louisiana. Durbin and Cassidy are among the lawmakers who introduced the PROMISE Act proposal, and the advocacy officer said, we strongly object to fast-tracking Social Security changes through Congress. They don't want to fast-track it because you know what happens when you fast-track stuff? Yep, mistakes happen. Now, the PROMISE Act would create an independent bipartisan Social Security Advisory Board, or SSAB, to develop and send a base bill to Congress that would ensure the Social Security trust funds are funded for at least 50 years. Majority leaders of the House and the Senate, or if not, any member of Congress, could introduce the base bill, which would then be referred to the Senate Finance Committee and House Ways and Means Committee for a chance to hold hearings and amend it. Whether or not this is the route that is taken, the fact that they're beginning to talk about it has to at least be viewed as a good sign. Instead of, panicking, pants on fire, last minute, here's a fix that'll be good for a year or 2 or 3. If there's a way to make it solvent for a longer period of time without mistakes occurring, and then they need to do that. A small organ, a pipe organ in eastern Germany is the headliner of the world's slowest concert. It has been playing the same piece of music by composer John Cage at a glacial pace for nearly 25 years. How can that be? A rare chord change on Wednesday from 7 notes to 8 represented the completion of about 4% of the 639-year endeavor of the John Cage organ project, Halberstadt. Imagine a 639-year organ recital. I happen to be a fan of pipe organ music. I learned to appreciate it as a kid, and when I was taking piano lessons, I also studied the pipe organ, and we got a chance to play in some pretty big instruments in my time. It was a historic moment, the chord change inside the medieval Burkhardi Church in Halberstadt, Germany, that reflected the past, present, and future of the project, as well as those who are following its albeit very slow progression. Anneli Borgman, chairwoman of the John Cage Organ Project, Halberstadt's Board of Trustees, said, "At fast as our world is developing, I think it's a wonderful place to be and to come to yourself and just be touched by this being there. The project started in 2000. The performance began September 1st, 2001, Cage's 89th birthday, with a silent pause that lasted until February 5th, 2003, when the first chords could actually be heard. The composition, called Organ Squared AS Sleep ASLSP, as slow as possible, is scheduled to finish on September 4th, the year 2640. An electric-powered blower system sends wind into the organ to create a continuous sound. A chord change done manually means that the sound of the organ pipes changes either because new sounds are added or existing sounds end. More than 150 people squeezed inside the church Wednesday to witness what was the piece's 17th chord change, with dozens more watching a live stream outside. For 3 minutes, the crowd listened to the old chord with its 7 pipes, then an 8th pipe was slotted into the small organ, bringing it a new sound that reverberated through the church. The spectators listened for another 3 minutes, some filming with cell phones, others taking it all with their eyes closed and heads bowed before breaking into applause and cries of "Bravo!" "It's a very subtle difference," said Jeffrey Leppendorf, executive director of the John Cage Trust in New York. "There's a higher sound that's a little more prominent." A 600-year-old piece of music is going to take 600 and some years to finish it. There will be no one left in the audience who remembers the beginning of it. I think it's a stunt. It's maybe not the most clever thing in the world. That would be like, the person who can hold his breath the longest, or grow his hair the longest, or eat the most hot dogs like Joey Chestnut, I guess. Yellowstone mastermind Taylor Sheridan is branching out from his signature Western shows to make his first movie in 5 years. Last year, Sheridan signed a huge deal with NBC Universal, which means he's leaving Paramount behind after his current deal expires in a couple of years. The streaming service helped launch massive hits for Sheridan, including Yellowstone and its prequels 1883 and 1923. Paramount is also the home to Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa King, Landman, which we love, Lioness, and The Madison, all Taylor Sheridan shows. The guy's prolific, if nothing else. This move will also show Sheridan stepping away from television writing and dive back into movies. He wrote Sicario and the Academy Award-nominated Hell or High Water. He has not had a movie release since 2021, when he wrote the Angelina Jolie-led Those Who Wish Me Dead and co-wrote the movie Without Remorse. Leave it to Tim Ayton. Butthead. God, David said small organ. Yeah, but I said large organ earlier, so I'm even. I guess that makes it a medium organ. God, Beavis. Right in the middle of my Taylor Sheridan story, too. TV Insider. I'll get even with you on Tuesday, buddy. TV Insider reported that Sheridan will have 2 new movies on the way, both based on the concepts by the Brutalist producer Andrew Lauren, who has worked with Sheridan in the past. Lauren shared a statement with TV Insider about his excitement for the upcoming collaboration. "The 2 projects have been years in the making." He said, "Ideas I believed in deeply, never anticipating advances in science and shifts in the political landscape would accelerate their path to realization. I'm dying to know. The movies are called Visalia and Capture the Flag, and we're going to have to leave it there. Hard to say what the movies will be about because it's Taylor Sheridan, and as he tends to write, he writes organically. Sometimes his story starts one way and ends in a way he was completely unexpected to do, and I guess that's what makes him a genius. All right, to wrap it up today, what's a skill every kid should have by the time they're 10? I'm going to ask this question on Instagram today, my Instagram reel, so be sure to check it out. What skill should every kid have by the time they're 10? Here are a few examples of what the internet said. They should be able to cook an egg. They can react to an emergency by the age of 10. They can dress themselves. They know how to write a letter or email. They can sort through online news. They could care for another living thing at 10 years old, the internet says. Another skill every kid should have by the time they're 10, they could swim, have a solid handshake, and use a map. I'm not sure any kids of any age could use a map today. If you're my age, you grew up on paper maps. Remember the triptych from AAA, that long thing when you were taking a trip? It had little skinny pages and you turn them every 10 miles or whatever it was. All right, one final note here. If you've got a belly button that's an innie, your belly button, and most of us do because, we got a little extra poundage on us. Your belly button is home to at least 60 or 100 more species of bacteria, fungi, and yeasts. The findings demonstrate how a belly button can become a haven for complex biodiversity. And although North Carolina State University researchers say they find 60 or 70 species of bacteria in the average belly button, they found more than 1,400 species overall. So now you got to clean that thing out with a Q-tip, or a washcloth, or a bath towel, or whatever you need. That's going to do it for today. Join us Monday. We'll be talking with the talk master himself, Neil Bortz, right here on the Dave Elliott Show Monday edition. Have a super weekend. Stay dry and cool, and we'll talk to you then.